Dishonored 1 was one of the best games I've played in the recent years that I've been playing games, honestly. Can the sequel hit that high bar? This is Dishonored 2. Don't go away. So truly, Dishonored 1 was insane. That game, I beat it in 2 days. Like, I started it, it was insane. One of my favorite games of all time. Dishonored 2 doesn't really get to that level, I'll be honest. Here's Dishonored 1, here's Dishonored 2, so it gets pretty close. Just like the first game, the story starts fast and lets you know what's going on, who's involved within the first 5 minutes. This chick comes in, Delilah. You have no idea who she is at the start. She basically captures either Emily or Corvo in stone. Now this is where you get to a part that I totally was not expecting. You get to choose who you play as. This is like years after Dishonored 1. So Corvo's older, Emily's grown up, she's now the Empress. You get to pick which one you play as. And I had no idea about this, so I went with Corvo because he was just such a good character in the first game. But I did end up doing a second playthrough as Emily. Now, while the entire Empire basically has been bribed or turned against Corvo and Emily, there is one person, Megan Foster, on a boat in the middle of like this lake ocean spot, who is your #1 ally. And the only reason why I knew she was going to be such a big character is because I remember seeing her face on the next game. Now, Arcane Studios does what I wish every studio did for their sequels. Milestone Studios did this for Ziggurat from 1 to 2. Sequels, remakes, remasters, doesn't matter. I want games to be pretty much the exact same thing. Don't change anything, but add some things. It's exactly what Dishonored 2 here, and what they added worked. In and out, Dishonored 2 is a copy and paste from Dishonored 1. Gameplay loop, presentation-wise, audio-wise, visually, everything is extremely familiar, and that's perfect in my opinion. Of course, there is some new weapons, some new powers, some interesting levels. Let's get into it.
Let's see how you acquit yourself.
Because everything is so familiar, the gameplay loop is, once again, insanely fun, with all capitals. It's creative, addictive, customizable. Play your own way is here again. No matter what your objective is, if it's in a building, you have at least 3 to 4 ways to get in there. Whatever suits your style, stealth or aggressive. Of course, completing objectives stealthily equals lower chaos in the cities. Aggressively, like just going and robbing the entire bank and city and running out with murder, creates a higher chaos, badder ending. And I gotta be honest, I'm super thankful I did 2 playthroughs, because after I played as Corvo, I did a little research on Reddit as to what the differences were. Like, should I do a second playthrough? Because honestly, I wouldn't mind it because the game was really good. But everything was like, oh, Emily is basically the main protagonist. You should play as Emily. Corvo's a great second playthrough. So it's like, well, now I have to play through as Emily. But because I already did a stealth, low chaos run with Corvo on my first, I thought, well, even though Emily's powers are more geared towards stealth, let's just do a full-blown aggressive build. And it wasn't until this run that I really appreciate how smooth and insane the combat is.
Who's there?
While you're out on these objectives, which is usually to get rid of someone, whether that be killing them or another interesting creative way, exploring here is play your own way, once again. Coins aren't mandatory to complete this game. Really, I probably got about like 25% of the total coinage in this game, and I felt like I was definitely more than well equipped. You can spend hours and hours exploring the streets and buildings of these missions in these cities, and you can collect a lot. There's a lot to collect here. Coins for upgrading, paintings that are pretty much coins for upgrading, blueprints for exclusive upgrades, bone charms, which I gotta be honest, they are so useless in this game. I don't really remember what happened in Dishonored 1 if they were actually this bad, but bone charms here are just, unless you get like some crazy really good ones, then it's like most of the time bone charms really aren't that great. And of course, another thing you'll be collecting is runes for upgrades on magic. Now, coins go towards shopping at the black market spot, and it's pretty okay. You can buy things like ammo for your crossbow, pistol, health potions, spring razor traps, grenades, stun mines, upgrades for your pistol and crossbow, and sword. And runes are pretty much for your skill tree that goes towards your magical abilities. Now, honestly, I am a blink and slowdown time junkie, so I cannot comment on a lot of these powers, such as possession, bloodthirst, wind blast, and so on. Really, blink, slowdown time, and see through walls was pretty much what I use mainly for Corvo. And on Emily's side, I gotta be honest, because I played a New Game Plus, her, whatever it's called, not her blink, her movement ability, was something I just could not get used to. So even though I want to play it as if it was her first playthrough, I ended up unlocking Blink anyways, because Blink is just too good. But I did use like the Night Stalker ability quite often, where you pretty much turn into like a demon dog, I guess, and you run around the city and you just murder people, because it was my aggressive playthrough. Which, as a side note, I will say most A and B scenarios don't have that many differences in games. But here, I kind of really like that you had differences in full abilities. Like, it wasn't just dialogue option differences and stuff. You had actual gameplay differences here. But eventually, you make your way through all the levels, and there's some interesting ones here, like the Jindosh level, which, I'll be honest, I don't like. I didn't like it on my first playthrough. I didn't like it on my second playthrough. It's just, it's weird. It's too weird. On the complete opposite spectrum is the timepiece mission. I don't design games or build games or anything, but the amount of effort, I bet it was insane to do this. Basically, the guy who gives you your magic power shows up and says, hey, here's a timepiece thing, you can go back in time. And at first it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but how does it work? It's basically like your heart thing, but if you click the square button, you teleport back in time. And this is implemented so smoothly. This is crazy.
There are whales down in the mines.
Even though my PS4 turns into a jet engine anytime I enter this level, I understand why. The way the little windows work on the side of the heart, and the way it so seamlessly goes back and forth, and I thought for sure if I was under fire or detected, it'd be like, you can't go back to the past when you're detected. But no, you can go back whenever you want. So seamless. This was not only an insane level, just thinking about attempting to make something like this would be crazy. So near the end of the game, you either kill Delilah or trap her inside her painting. I mean, that's pretty straightforward to me. But the ending really isn't that insane. In the first game, it was like Emily was like dangling on the end of this thing, and I thought, if I don't get this blink perfectly and time this perfectly with assassination or stealth combat or crossbow, it will not work out perfectly. Here it's just like, yo, I walk in, Delilah, kill or not kill. And after that, you lay in your bed of either high or low chaos. And that's the game. Now, for presentation, I will say that I absolutely love the way this game is styled. You'll always hear people say, this looks like BioShock. I think at this point, it's kind of a dishonor to Dishonored to say it looks like this, because it feels like it's its own thing at this point. While the majority of games are going for the most realistic possible graphics, humanly possible, Dishonored 2, I've always loved games that look like this. I have literally zero complaints across the entire board about how the menu looks, how the HUD looks, how weapons look, items look, enemy design, everything's good. They gave Corvo a voice because he was a voiceless protagonist, which I totally forgot about, but they didn't even just give him a voice, they gave him a really cool voice, for that matter.
Rest now, but know that I'm going to end Delilah's reign. I swear it.
And really thinking about it, they gave everyone good voices here because voice acting is really top notch here. Zero complaints.
Your soft life is over, decoy.
Even for random civilians, which you can eavesdrop on civilians to gain information on the mission you're on, they're voice acted well too. It's not like they just threw in the towel because they're two random people that you may or may not encounter.
You should have seen the twisted things she made. All snouts and teeth and tails.
Soundtracks, though, I will say I am a bit disappointed here. There is no poignant soundtrack like there was Dishonored 1 with the main theme. There's just nothing crazy here. But overall, if I had to nitpick something, I wish that the black market store that you spend your coins at was a little different. Like, I wish you could buy all your upgrades, like your basic upgrades and stuff, from Megan Foster or something on the boat. And in the city, if you find like the backyard black market back alley stuff, that's where you can find some exclusive, you know, under the table upgrades that you can't get anywhere else. That would make it cool. That would make it a way to try and explore more. Because I hated like, oh, I need some extra pistol ammo. It's like, okay, well, you can't just do that in between missions. You have to start a mission, go all the way to the store if it has a store, because some missions didn't have it. And really, that's my only nitpick, was one thing. Two things if you count the fact that there's no pointed soundtracks here. But that's it. I mean, this game is damn near perfect. Maybe not as impactful as Dishonored 1 was when I played it, but basically just underneath that. Once again, I beat this game in 2 days. Once again, I beat this game in 2 days, and then I played through as Emily in 2 days. And overall, I keep coming back to the point that the gameplay loop, play your own way, stealth versus aggressive, you really feel that effect, and it is fun. At the end of the day, Dishonored 2 is entertaining and completely unique. There is no other franchise that I could jump into and be like, hey, this feels like Dishonored. It just doesn't exist. 9.0 out of 10. So that's it. Dishonored 2 is down. Now, I do have Dishonored Death of an Outsider. I actually should look this up. I don't know what the reception is. I really highly doubt they fumbled the ball in the third game. There's no way. And I really don't consider a game franchise a franchise until it hits 3 games. Dishonored Death of an Outsider will be the third game. And if it's as good as Dishonored 2 or even 1, this might be one of the best franchises ever. And after the amount of games I've played, that really is saying a lot. But for now, I'm your host, Cyberplanet Entertainment. I hope you enjoyed this review. Peace out.
Alright, here we go. What the fuck was that explosion? Huh? What? I thought I saw that.
What is up? I know what you're thinking. You're only here for the bonus Easter egg soundtrack I put in at the end of every video. But did you also know I have a donation page under Buy Me a Coffee? Donate whatever you want to my channel and I'll put half that back to an environmental charity. So that's that. Enjoy the music. Peace out.